Now, Penwith Radio, I am so excited to bring on my next guest today. Now, it's very rare for me to speak to a national treasure and a true legend, and it's somebody that's been on my show twice, and I am so excited to have him back on my show. It's the one and only Mr. John Challis. Hello. I'm very good, thank you.
Very good build-up, thank you very much.
It's so good to have you back on the show. You've been on before, and it was just incredible to speak to you, so thank you for coming back on.
It's a great pleasure.
So, John, I mean, it's absolutely crazy for you at the moment. You've got your one-man show, Only Fools and Boycie.
That's right.
So that's where people get to kind of see you talk about, you know, your life playing the role of Boycie.
Yes, it's an entertainment, really. Obviously, the main reason people will come, is because of the shows and so on. So obviously, there's a lot of stories about that, but also a lot of stories along the way. It tells a story of sort of how I got there and all the sort of accidents and coincidence that occurred, and stories, from my school life, how I started becoming an actor and so on, and right through to the spin-off series, The Green Grass, and which was inspired by my move out of London down to Herefordshire, and that sort of spawned not only that series but also the autobiographies in two parts and two novels called Reggie in the Frame and also Reggie a Stag at Bay, which I've written about my experiences down here.
And with those books, they're on Wigmore Books. Is that your own company?
That's right. Yes. Well, I published the books myself. Because quite frankly, the numbers didn't stack up for the offers we were getting, and so I met someone down here who had a bit of experience in publishing and so on, and we decided to form a little company, which is Wigmore Books, and so that's our publishing company. With all these books, I mean, you get at the end of the show, you get to talk to me and have your photograph taken. You also get a free bookmark with each book, and not many publishing companies say that. so no, we're very proud of it, really. I must say, and the sales have gone really well. I do lots of signings all over the place, and we do an Only Fools and Horses convention every year with thousands of people turn up and so on. But I go to food festivals and a flower festival I'm going to this weekend in Shrewsbury, and so it's nice just to sit there and meet people and say hi, and hopefully they'd be interested in one of my books, which are among the best books I've ever read in my life, I have to say. But I suppose I would say that, wouldn't I?
And I mean, you've got Being Boycie, your autobiography, and then there's Boycie and Beyond as well. So there's two autobiographies. That's
right, yes. Being Boycie was the first one, and goes up to about 1985, I suppose, around about the time when Marlene came into the show. And I thought, well, that's a good place to stop for a start, because my life changed forever, really. And the Boycie and Beyond is the sequel to that, and so it goes from 1985 right through till about 2012, which obviously covers my move out of London and how the Green Grass happened, and a few stories about that as well. So you've got my whole life story, in two volumes, really, with two free bookmarks. I mean, you can't refuse.
And like you said, if people want to order online, they get a personal message as well with the book.
That's right.
A signed copy.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to order them through the website, I can dedicate them to whoever you want. I mean, to yourself, obviously. But if somebody's got a birthday coming up, or where it's a bit early to start talking about Christmas, I suppose. But I've had a couple of people recently who said, "Oh, great, there'll be Christmas presents," and I thought, "My God, it's only August." but no, it's ideal for that. I mean, it's because it's. They're not only about a tenner each, so I mean, it's not so you're paying out a lot of money, really.
I mean,
and it's worked very well. We get orders every day, for one or two of the books, so it's worked out very well.
Did you ever imagine, years and years ago when you were cast as Boycie for the first ever episode of Only Fools and Horses, for that character to become such a an icon as he has, did you ever expect that to happen?
No, not at all. It's something I talk about, really. I mean, obviously a lot of it is about living with this character.
Yeah.
And the first episode I did, called Go West, Young Man, I think it was about the second episode of the first series of Only Fools and Horses. I was doing a lot of episodes of a lot of things in those days, and it was a nice little role, and I thought it was funny. I must say, straight off the bat, I thought, God, this is a funny show. And I just had one day's filming with David Jason and Nicholas Lyndhurst in my sort of show court at the garage, and it was a funny scene, and I had a good time. But nobody said anything. Nobody said anything afterwards. And I went off and said, well, I enjoyed that, and it was a complete surprise, really, the following year. And I was actually doing some proper acting at the National Theatre at the time, and suddenly this offer came in for a second episode. And I went, oh, that's nice. So they obviously liked the character. And then I had to get a bit of time off from the National Theatre, and all that. But they were very good, and off I went to do the second episode. And I thought, well, that's really. And of course, by that time, you think to yourself, well, maybe they obviously like the character, so hopefully there'll be another series, and hopefully, the character will come back, which is what happened. And, from year to year, there was another series right up until the end of the 80s, I suppose. So I suppose every year for about 8 years there was a new series, and lots of Christmas specials as well. And it is amazing, really, to think sort of 34 odd years later, what's happened? It wasn't until about the fourth series, I suppose, that we thought, oh, this has got legs, this is going to run, because people started coming up to you in the street saying they've seen it and how much they liked it and so on. And that's the first time that had ever happened, I think. And we realised we were onto something, and so we were very keen to make ourselves available every year for this show, which meant so much to people.
And I mean, people of all ages, absolutely love it. Like I told you last week, it was my friend's 18th birthday, and I know that you do video messages on one of the websites, and you did a video message from my friend, and he's 18 years old and absolutely loved getting a message from Boycie as such, in the character.
Oh yes. I have great fun doing that, I must say. It's amazing. I sort of write a little. If I get a clue about what it is, whether it's a birthday or it's somebody's getting married, or even the other day somebody getting divorced, which was a new one for me. I have to say. But I sort of write a little scenario, a little script or something, so to make it personal, but people seem to enjoy it a lot. So I'm glad your friend enjoyed it. That's great, because you do them and you think, well, I hope it's going to be okay. I hope they're not going to be disappointed or anything, because you invent the thing yourself. But it seems to give people a lot of pleasure. A lot of people, a lot of best men get in touch, their friends are getting married or something, and they produce it at during their speech, which of course helps them a great deal.
Now, you must walk down the street every day and get people shouting Marlene, or people doing your laugh. Is that something that happens on a daily basis for you? Yeah, pretty much. It depends where I am. Obviously, where I live, people are sort of used to me, so it did happen quite a lot to begin with, but not so much now. Pretty much every day something happens. Somebody will call out something, or come up and shake your hand and say thank you very much for for all the laughs you've given us. Which is a really nice thing to happen, because it's one of the great things about being in the show, really, is the fact that it means so much to people, on a sort of an emotional level as well as everything else, not just very good jokes, and terrific actors in the role. It's about people's lives, and people recognise that, and it means a lot to them. They say, "Oh, I've been through that problem. Oh, that happened to me," and it just makes people smile, about things. If they're having a bad time somewhere, they just feel better watching it, I guess. Now, obviously the iconic laugh that you do, was that something that you created yourself, or was it, written by John Sullivan? How did that become part of Boycie?
the Boycie voice came from somebody that I knew in a pub, actually. He had this really curious, pedantic way of talking, and I've always been a terrible sort of mimic and copier ever since I was a kid, really, and all those sort of things still, I hear sort of little vocal patterns, and I still pick up on them. I've just been in France, for instance, and hearing the French accents, and I went with a friend of mine who speaks very good French, and hearing him going from French to English is absolutely fascinating, really, because he speaks it very well. And so they sort of lodge with me, so that's where the voice came from somebody I heard ages ago. And the laugh was never there to begin with. It was just something I did, just on spec, I think the script said Boycie laughs at one of his own jokes or something, and so I did this sort of this sort of laugh, and everybody laughed, and I said, keep that in, So he then went into the script. So sort of Boycie does one of his laughs, so I had to keep it going. And of course, have you ever wished you hadn't started something? I've been doing it ever since. Well, here we are talking about it, and everybody's interested in where that came from. But it was a complete accident, really. And like a lot of things, it's an instinctive thing, and it gets picked up on, and it just works on a particular level. But yes, I've been doing it ever since. And so the laugh, that particular laugh, came from a woman, would you believe? It was a woman I knew back in the 70s. She used to inhabit a pub I used to go into, and she used to sit alone in the corner with a bottle of Mackinson, but she was, perhaps we could say, not all together there, but a couple like this, and it was famous. We used to go in and wait for it, and then everybody had a good laugh, so I owe her a lot, I suppose. I don't know if she ever picked up on it, because she was pretty old at the time, but she just had this sort of machine gun-like laugh, and as I say, I'm an inveterate copier of things, and so that's how that happened.
And I've got to say, when I watch Only Fools and Horses, sometimes I wonder, was it all scripted, or was a lot of it, you putting your own little thing on it? Because, watching you and Sir David Jason and Nicholas Lyndhurst, it's just incredible the way you act. It's just so infectious. Every time I watch it, I'm smiling throughout every single episode, and I can remember word for word the scripts because they are that, addictive. So, did you stick, to the exact scripts, or were there a lot of times that you kind of put your own spin on it?
Well, John Sullivan, who wrote Only Fools and Horses and The Green Green Grass, was an absolute perfectionist, and very often the scripts were quite late coming, and you'd find yourself filming a scene and you had no idea what had happened before it or what was going to happen after it, and so he had to be on set quite a lot of the time to sort of explain what he was trying to do, and because of that, by the time the script got to us and we started to read through it, it was sort of perfect, and I don't remember anybody ever in all that time saying, I don't think this is quite right for, I don't think Trigger would say this line, I don't think Del Boy would say it like that, I can't remember that ever happening, because he was such a perfectionist, and he'd practiced every line that he'd written in character, until he got it absolutely right. And so by the time it got to us, it was sort of perfect. And occasionally, you'd hear a good joke. He loved jokes, John Sullivan, and you tell him a joke, and usually he'd say it was absolutely pathetic and very badly told because it was such, but occasionally he'd pick up on something, and you'd find something slightly familiar in the script because he'd taken the idea or a little story you'd tell or something, and he picked up on it and embroidered it and made it into something, that was part of the plot of one of the episodes. So, but in terms of what we said, as I say, I don't remember anybody ever tried to change anything. He changed things. He'd change things at the last minute sometimes because he'd think of something better, and so quite often you'd go into the studio and thinking, what was that line you told me to say? I've been saying this, and now I've got to say that, and So there was that, but that was it was sort of a bit flying by the seat of your pants about it, which was good. I enjoyed all that part of it, I think.
And like you said, it's been absolutely a pleasure getting to speak to you in the past, because I'm such a fan of the show. I've wanted to speak to Sir David, Jason, Nicholas Lyndhurst, but I've never managed to. But the fact I got to speak to you and Sue back in 2010, it was lucky enough to speak to you both. I was just 18 years old, and it was just so good to see how close that you and Sue still remain, because you're obviously a big part.
Great. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah.
Of each other's lives.
Yeah, as I say, one of the great things about doing the show is meeting the people who put us there. You never forget that. If people didn't turn their tellies on or like the show so much, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's really great to meet people. And in some terms, not to be too sort of mawkish about it, it's an opportunity to say thanks. Really, in a lot of ways. So I hope people will come and see the show and be entertained by it. As I say, lots of stories and lots of and they get to talk to the audience afterwards, and it's good fun. Well, I enjoy it anyway, so I'm looking forward to playing all these little theatres and meeting lots of people, I hope.
And you're going to be in loads of different places, literally everywhere from Birmingham. You've got a date in Birmingham coming up on September the 24th. You're also going to be at Festival Drayton Centre at Market Drayton. Theatre Royal Margate, Jolly Boys outing.
Oh, Margate, yes. I was lucky enough to be asked to go to Margate because they just reopened Dreamland, the fun fair. It's a real sort of retro fun fair, and it's absolutely brilliant because they've got a lot of the old roundabouts left, and the Helter Skelter, and of course the scenic railway. They've rebuilt it because it was closed for ages, and of course one of the difficulties was the world has changed, and they had to adhere to a lot more safety regulations. Quite rightly. For what they used to have, so a lot of work has gone on, but they've reopened it, and it's absolutely wonderful. I recommend anybody to go down there, and of course it has that connection with Only Fools and Horses and the Jolly Boys outing, and it's just a great fun place to be. If any fans of the show sort of in that area or want to move down, I'd really recommend it because Margate is coming up, and there's a lot of people who care about it, and it's a really good place to visit.
That's going to be on September the 26th. Where's the nearest place to Cornwall for us to come and see you? We've got Weymouth Pavilion.
Sorry, I couldn't hear any of that.
Where's the nearest place to Cornwall that we can come up and see you? Would it be Weymouth?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Weymouth Pavilion.
I think because I've done about 50 of these shows already, and I'm not quite sure where we're going and how close we are, because you're a bit out on the limb in Cornwall, aren't you?
We are. But we'd love to see you.
Very strange tribe of people over there, I've heard. The other side of the Tamar.
You had your own little cottage here.
I think there's a few dates sort of skirting around the West Country and so on. So hopefully it'll be a nice little trip for people.
I thought you had your own cottage here in Cornwall.
My cottage? Oh, well, I did in the show, yeah. yeah. But unfortunately, I wasn't in that episode.
I know, that was Friday the 14th.
It annoys me still, because they keep showing it, don't they, on Gold and so on.
That's right.
And, that one about your cottage is on tonight, and I say, well, I'm not on it, I say, through gritted teeth. Bit of a shame, but... Well, never mind.
Well, everyone can get more information at www.wigmorebooks.com. You've got all your events, you've got your shop where people can buy Boycie and Beyond and Being Boycie, and they can get a signed copy as well. And you can find you on Twitter as well. You're king of Twitter at the moment, at Being Boycie.
Yes, if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, it's at Being Boycie. So we're welcome to the group. We have a lot of fun, and sometimes some quite interesting things are said, I have to say. But one mustn't get upset by these things.
Honestly,
you just get on with it, really. But no, it's good fun. There's some smashing stuff. There's a bit about football. I'm a bit of a sports fan, and so it's not just about the show or me. There's lots of observations about things that are going on, hopefully. Trying to be politically correct.
Honestly.
Which is hard.
It is very hard these days.
But never mind.
But honestly, I can't tell you how much it means to actually get to talk to you, because I'm 22 years old. I've been such a fan for many years. I've met you at a convention before in Bristol back in 2009, I think it was. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Been a great pleasure.
Thank you very much, and I'll hopefully get to speak to you soon. I don't suppose you could do the laugh for us before we go on Penrith Radio?
Just once, yes. I must mention the Lizard lifeboat too.
Yeah.
The big friends of the Lizard lifeboat, and they got their new boat and their new house down there, and how fantastic it is. And great bunch of guys anyway, so support the lifeboats if you possibly can. Anybody who's got a spare penny or two, put it in the box, because they've got no wellies down there. They've only got one pair of wellies between 10 of them, the crew. It's really sad. Or so they tell me. Anyway, so that was a little joke, so here's a little laugh.
Oh, thank you so much, John.
Nice cup of tea now.
Thank you so much, and I'll hopefully get to talk to you again soon.
Great pleasure.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, bye.
Thanks, bye-bye.